I just finished a 7-day cruise of the Western Mediterranean with MSC Cruises on the ship MSC Lirica. So this is everything that you need to know. So first of all, this is the route through Western Mediterranean. So I started out at Marseille, France, and one of the things that is very different about these MSC cruises is that you can actually start at almost any of these ports. And what you'll find is that at every port, some people are getting off and then some people are getting on. So it's unlike most cruises where everybody gets on one port and everyone gets off. You'll see this steady turnover of the ship. So if you have some time constraints and you need to leave at a different time, or you would rather visit and spend some more time at a different port, you'd have to go search around for the specific date. Certain websites like, I don't know, Expedia may only report, say, the Marseille, France departure, but you should be able to get the others. So one question is, why would I select this particular cruise? And I'm fairly price sensitive, and I'm also sailing as a solo, and a lot of times it actually costs double the amount of money if you want a cabin for yourself. So I use a website called vacationstogo.com, and you can filter and show what the prices are for a single cabin, and you can sort it so you can find the lowest price sailings that are available for solo travelers. So that's a big hint. So this particular trip ended up coming in as one of the lowest costs cruises available at the time that I wanted to sail. So originally I was looking at a price of only $654 for a 7-day cruise, which is pretty inexpensive. Now the prices of these things change quite rapidly, so that's another thing that you should be aware of, that by the time I looked at this price, $654 in the morning, but by the evening, when I actually attempted to book this trip, I found that it was throwing errors. When I get to the last step, it was saying something about no guarantee available and some obscure message. And eventually I figured out that was because all of the interior cabins at that rate had just been sold out. So it really is a thing that if you see a cabin that you like, you may have to book it right away, because these things change all the time. Now, because of that, I was forced to take a ocean view room. So I have my nice ocean view here. So that was about maybe $100 more. And I also opted for their insurance in case, I don't know, I caught COVID-19 or something crazy like that. And the final cost ended up being $857 with insurance. Now the flight, I'm coming from Seattle, so round trip Seattle, flying through British Airways and Heathrow London Airport, round trip was $1,100. And so the total for air and cruise was a little under $2,000, $1,957, and $2,000 was about my budget for any one vacation. So that's why we did that. So some unusual things about MSC cruises. So one thing is the dining time. So you may be accustomed for early dining happening, say, around 5 p.m. or so. But here in Europe, early dining is actually at 7 p.m. So, that's what second seating dining would be in most cruise lines. So be aware of that. Yeah, dinner is a little bit later. And they run the major shows around dinner, so that if you're first seating, then you see the main show at 9:30. Otherwise, if you're second seating, you see the earlier show. And now they do have some interesting beverage options. Okay, so one thing is that if you're in the main dining room, so I have here that mineral water and coffee is available. So they actually hand out a 1-liter bottle of mineral water, and that looks like that at every dining room meal that you get. And yeah, that and coffee and maybe tea is the total extent of your beverage options in the main dining room. Another thing that was different was that in the buffet, they typically have juices like apple juice, orange juice available throughout the day. But on this cruise, those are only available in the morning. So for lunch and dinner, really your only options are coffee, tea, and water in the buffets. And also during the middle of the day, you just can't run over to the buffet to get like a cup of apple juice. So they recommend that if you want some juices in the middle of the day, you're gonna have to go to the bar and like pay for it, right? So that's gonna be like 3 or 4 euros to get your juice. So I think that's really kind of chintzy that they've changed that so that you cannot get juices during lunch or dinner at the buffet. So that's an interesting limitation that I thought would happen. So I think that the MSC Lirica is an older ship, and one of these things, so when you do the compulsory safety briefing, everyone just shows up at the main theater, and then they actually take you to where your lifeboat is located. So that's something you need to be aware of. And this basically happens every single day because new people are coming onto this ship every single day, and so every day you will hear this announcement for the mandatory safety briefing, and you'll see people looking like they're running a safety briefing all the time. And another annoying thing is that they have this download the MSC for Me app, but this app does not work on the MSC Lirica. If you put your booking number in the app, it will just simply say it's invalid, but really it should just say that the MSC Lirica is not supported, because I kept on trying to enter in my booking number again and again and again, and it just wouldn't work. Now another thing is with the internet here, so you can connect to the internet for free, but that basically only allows you to do things like scan the QR codes for your meal menus and some other limited functionality. But otherwise, if you pay for the internet, it's through Starlink, and it's pretty fast, and it allows you to do video fairly adequately, and it's unlimited, unlike some other cruise lines which charge you a lot for limited bandwidth, but you can use as much as you want. So I prefer it that way as far as internet access. And interestingly enough, I have T-Mobile service, so I get international service everywhere. And I was attached in airplane mode, only with Wi-Fi, and it seems that I could still make, say, FaceTime calls through the internet and seemingly receive calls through the internet. Now, one thing you do need to be very careful about when you're on this MSC ship or any cruise ship is that you do not want to be connecting to the ship data or the ship phone, because that's going to cost you dearly, like $4 per minute if someone accidentally calls you. So best practice is to put your phone on airplane mode when you are on the ship to make sure that you are not sucking down the super expensive ship data or phone calls. Okay, so another thing that seems to be new at the industry is that you do not receive your card, your cruise card, during check-in. For MSC, it's in fact just hanging on the door when you arrive. So now I'm just going to go through the daily programs and the particular parts and any notes I have on it. So, I started out at Marseille, and like I said, apparently I could have started out in almost any port. But, in Marseille, you can walk to the old port and pretty much see everything that's down there. Unfortunately, when I first came, my daily program was in, I think, French. So I had to ask my steward to please get me an English menu. But you can kind of see the things that are available during that day. Like on this day, the karaoke was at 3 p.m. And so if you're interested in certain things, you'll have to look at the daily planner when you first arrive. So I just walked around the old town before boarding the ship, and I used Uber to get to port. Now, when you get your ticket, I mean, you can just use it on the app. Although I'm not quite sure how that works, because they take the physical ticket that you've printed out, and they put stamps on it and they write on it, and you have to show this thing to, like, when you enter the cruise port, there'll be a guard, and I had to hand my Uber driver the actual physical ticket with the barcode to show that I was a cruise passenger. So I would highly recommend that you actually physically print out your cruise ticket if you're going to be going with MSC and this cruise, because I have no idea how it would work if I just had the ticket on my phone. Okay, so that was Marseille. That's the start of. So the first port is Palma de Mallorca, and yeah, I didn't realize that the Mediterranean has these gigantic islands. It's almost funny to try and call them islands because they're so big. So in Palma del Marco, you can take a excursion to certain things. So on this day, I took a excursion to the Dragon Caves, and the thing that they have is I actually have a little boat. They have a string quartet and a piano on board, and they serenade you for 10 minutes inside the world's largest cavern. So that's basically what I did for that day. The next port is Valencia, and like the oranges. So apparently, if you see any orange trees in Valencia, don't pick the oranges. Apparently, they're really bad. So, and only rude tourists do that. So don't worry about that. So in Valencia, I saw the oceanographic museum, or complex really, because it's a huge modern, like, sci-fi complex, and you could take an excursion there, but I thought that just taking an Uber there would be cheaper, although the Uber driver kind of got lost on their way back, making my trip back to the port a little bit more expensive. They just went the wrong way through the port. So that's something to be aware of if you're planning to take an Uber. But the Oceanographic Museum and a Science Museum is highly recommended there. But you can see the things that we have here. So each day, though, the dance team will come up with the whole song and dance routine thing. And this particular ship appears to have almost non-stop dance classes. And a lot of things happen at the Beverly Hills bar. Basically, if you just hang out there, there's almost always something going on. So next day is just the relaxing day at sea. And, you know, one of the things I was trying out, so they have like a free massage trial there. And, you know, you just sit on the chair and they give you like a shoulder massage, sample shoulder massage. But, you know, they seem to have some pretty decent deals, like for €99, you can choose like any two of any 5 different kinds of things that they offer. And yeah, so and there's always like music on board. And one of the things that you should be aware of is that if you're on this European cruise, is that a lot of people actually do not speak English. And all of the people who work on this ship have to know like English, French, German, Italian, Spanish, and predominantly, I think you'll find that the Spanish language is mostly what's going on, and when they have like the parties and things like that, there'll be a lot of Spanish songs, and like the karaoke, most people will sing in Spanish. So just be prepared for a European Spanish experience. And it's like the dances, a lot of it will be just like line dancing kind of things, or it's just kind of, you know, follow the leader kind of group dances. So but the people were quite into it, so that was still a lot of fun. So if you're worried about coming and not finding a dance partner, well, you don't have to, because everyone is just dancing in a line. Okay, so, but let's just look at, say, this was the opening hours kind of thing. So you can see when breakfast, lunch, and dinner, when the seatings happen, and such. Now, one of the things about the dining, which is unusual, is that you are assigned a specific table for dinner. Okay, so I'm not used to that. That's the way they used to do things. Usually they have like, you know, open dining, like they have my choice dining, but I think that is only for the people who at the highest level can choose to come in at any time. Otherwise, you need to come at your assigned dining time, and you need to be there within 15 minutes. Otherwise, they may not choose to serve you, although that did happen to one of the people I was sitting with. But, you know, they still served her. And as a solo, I mean, I did not know what to expect as far as who I would be sitting with. But luckily, what they did was they put all of the solo cruisers from the United States together on the same table, and that was great. We quickly became fast friends, and then spent a lot of the cruise doing stuff together. That would be our routine. We would go and we would have dinner, then we would hang out at the bars until the show happened. So good job, MSC, on putting us together, but your mileage may vary. But just beware that as a solo, you will be assigned a table with some other people, and I don't know, hopefully you like them. So the next day we have here is Cagliari, and so for this day, I just took a tour. Now the tours on MSC are actually not outrageous. So like a bus tour, I think it was like $90 or something like that. So that was reasonable to be taken around. Although my criticism of the tour is that the tour guide did not speak English very well. Because he is very Italian, and it's hard to understand what he was possibly saying. Yeah, you had to really kind of read between the lines. So I think they really should have guides who can actually be understood. And they spent a lot of time talking instead of, actually showing us stuff, and we could barely understand what they're saying. But they did show us all the sights and such. But that would be my only criticism there. The next day is Cecavia, and this is the main port to go to Rome. So a lot of people would take outings to get to Rome. Rome is quite far away. It's like an hour bus ride. I myself, I decided to just stay and explore the port, and there's a couple interesting things there. It's like there's a very large fort complex you can walk around that was made by Michelangelo, who seems to get around a lot. And there's also the National Archaeological Museum, which for €3, it's a small museum, but you could see some artifacts. And there's also a famous plaza with a picture with a gigantic, like 30-foot statue of the sailor kissing the nurse to see there. So, but that was kind of a short day for me anyway, so I got out at 9, went and looked at everything, came back around noon and had my lunch. So that was a simple little day there. So next we have Livorno. So this is the jumping off point for the Tower of Pisa and Florence. And so for this day, I did choose to take an excursion. And once again, the excursions are reasonably priced. I believe this one was about $147 for a 9-hour bus tour. And basically you have like an hour at Pisa, and which is photo op. Now, if you want to go, you can actually go up the Tower of Pisa, and you can go inside the buildings, but that takes a €20 ticket. And because you only have like an hour in Pisa to just kind of take pictures, probably you're not going to have enough time to do that. The hour is just enough to do a little bit of shopping and take your favorite trick Pisa photo. And so there's my bus ticket there. Another interesting thing is that for many of the ports which require you to take a shuttle bus to get out into the city, they do provide them. Curiously enough, if you haven't booked an excursion, they'll just by default give you one of these shuttle bus tickets in your cabin, and you're supposed to just fill it out with the number of people you are using, and then you just hand that to the bus. But having that does not in any way mean that you've actually signed up for a shuttle bus. So that was a little bit confusing and disconcerting when I first saw that. But that's how those work. So let's see here. So that was basically the last day before returning to France. So overall, I would say that you get the full cruising experience with this MSC cruise. The rooms are pretty nice, and they take you to all the ports, and you get all the cruise ship kind of things. For the MSC Lirica, some things which are different are that really are, there's actually only one optional dining experience, which is a sushi restaurant. Other cruise ships will have several premium dining options like steakhouse or Italian place, but this ship only has the one. So that may be a significant limitation. And if you want lobster or T-bone steak. They do have those available for, I think, maybe like 28 euros and 22 euros. So you can get those things. Now, overall, though, I would say portion-wise, the portions are much smaller than on other cruise lines. I mean, so much so that I think I might not actually gain weight on this cruise, because they're like trying to put me on a diet. So like, for example, I had the prime rib yesterday, and while it was good, it was a very thin 1/4 inch slice of prime rib, so very, very, very thin. I mean, I did try the T-bone steak, and that was just humongous, and it was worth it just for the surprise on everyone's face to see when that was delivered, because it looks quite impressive. But otherwise, probably one of the reasons why MSC is coming in at the lower cost is because, yeah, the portion sizes are fairly limited. I mean, I think the food that was served was still pretty good. It's just not, not just overwhelming as it is with most cruise lines. So that could be a positive, or that could be a negative. But I just thought I'd let you know. So overall, sure, I'd do this again. This has been a great experience for me, and I hope that this helps you in your decisions about what's going on with your next cruise, possibly to the Western Mediterranean.